a lot of us live in this space where we're told that our opinions don't count because they're not the right kind of opinions, and we're constantly shouted over.
Why, yes, that is a conservative white woman talking about how she is being silenced in a room with women of color, an indigenous woman, trans woman. And I could just leave that right there and let that be the joke. But let's get into this idea that everybody's opinions are so valuable. If your opinion is rooted in the denial of someone else's existence and results in or calls for their oppression, then it is invalid. It is invalid from a moral standpoint, to which most reasonable people can agree. We live by a social contract where we attempt to do as little harm as possible to other human beings. And it's also invalid from a factual standpoint as it flies in the face of observable reality. If you say, I don't believe in transgenderism, or you say sexism or racism aren't real, those are invalid opinions. You're welcome to hold them, but that doesn't mean you'll be free from critique. Nor does it mean that you will be given equal consideration in an educated conversation about these topics. Let's take the transgender example. We know that these people exist because they're here in front of us telling us about their experiences. And we also know a lot about their experiences from all sorts of different fields of study, whether it is psychology, biology, gender studies, the list goes on and on. And we can make claims that are substantiated by evidence about the trends that we see in their experiences. Like talking about the fact that transgender folks have higher rates of suicidal ideations. Or we can talk about the types of treatment that aid in their well-being and development, like gender-affirming care. And the same can be said for evidence of systemic racism and sexism. These are observable, measurable phenomena that have been studied at length. When you hear someone say they don't believe in transgenderism, what they're really saying is, transgender people make me uncomfortable. I don't like or understand why they present themselves the way they do, and because of my discomfort, I am 100% okay with creating laws and a cultural dialogue that treats them as less than human. And when you say sexism or racism or the patriarchy aren't real, what you're really saying is, I don't want to lose my unearned privilege, and the prospect of that really scares me. And what's more is, it is an admission that you are an individual perpetrator of the oppression that you say does not exist. The irony and the hypocrisy. Y'all are brought to your knees at the prospect of somebody saying happy holidays to you at Lowe's, but then literally call for the eradication of an entire community of people. And it also must be said that there's a reason why we have terms specifying if somebody just has an opinion or an educated opinion. And that's because all opinions are not created equal. If you have a disease, do you seek out a medical doctor to give you advice on treatment, or do you go to your auto mechanic? You pick the medical doctor because she has years of professional and academic experience that would guide her in making an educated decision about the kind of treatment she would recommend. And this is not to insult the intelligence of the auto mechanic or make a statement about their value as a human being, but a mere statement of fact that in some circumstances, their opinion is less valid. And this is the problem with modern America. Everyone loves to say, I'm entitled to my opinion, or we'll just have to agree to disagree. But some things are too important and the consequences too dire to let ill-informed, hateful opinions go unchecked. Not to mention that this sort of thinking breeds the anti-intellectualism that the right absolutely loves. The dumber and more ill-informed people are, the easier they are to manipulate, particularly with fear and anger as motivators. And this allows conservatives to push their real agenda items: fascism, Christian theocracy, white supremacy, patriarchy, and let's not forget their never-ending pursuit of personal wealth and power. Conservatives in government today love to say that colleges are just indoctrination machines for liberal elites and the feminazis. And they'll tell you that public school teachers are just lazy, glorified babysitters that get the summers off so they deserve to be paid like shit. They demonize intellectualism because they know that if they allow people to read and learn about things outside of their own lived experience, they will realize that nearly everything they've been told from their pastors and politicians is a lie. And they will realize that they've been voting against their own self-interest for years. They will question the very nature of their realities, their faith, their family, their fundamental worldviews, and then they'll rightfully want to hold the people that lied to them accountable.